Hey, Bruce Feldman, and I'm pleased to be joined by Stanford quarterback Tanner McKee, the Cardinal, coming off a huge win in the place where you're from, Tanner. He beat the Trojans. You're a Southern California kid. How did that feel?
Felt great going home, being able to play USC in the Coliseum. It was funny walking in the stadium. I feel like looking around, I feel like I've been there so many times to watch games. So it was a lot of fun to be able to play there.
Now, I remember you from the Elite 11. You were a big recruit. What was the process like? Where did USC factor into it? And how did, why Stanford?
Growing up, obviously I went to a ton of USC games. I loved USC being from Southern California. For me, I just thought Stanford was a better fit overall with academics and athletics combined. And then obviously I love the coaches here and how the offense prepares you for the NFL. So I thought as a whole, I just thought Stanford was a better fit for me personally.
For people who maybe not that familiar with your story, so as I said, you were a huge recruit for them, but then you went on a mission. You were in Brazil. What was that experience like for you? And to be that far away from football, was it completely out of sight, out of mind, or was that something you always kind of kept in the back of your head?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Taking 2 years off is a pretty long time away from your sport. So I brought bands and I tried to work out and do what I could. Lost a little bit of weight walking around and talking to people. But overall, it was a great experience. I feel like I came back more mature, a little more experienced. And overall, I think that helped me be a better quarterback and just be a better person overall.
Now, from what I understand, there's not a ton of communication you're supposed to have back home. How much did you keep an eye on what was going on with Stanford football?
So it was kind of unique. My dad would email me once a week and he would just let me know how the games were going and everything like that. So I was never able to watch a game, but he gave me the updates and kind of who was doing well and everything like that. So obviously that was an exciting part of my week to kind of see how the team was doing.
How was that like kind of reacclimatization process like for you to go back to being a Division I athlete, especially where you hadn't had a lot of experience? You left pretty early in your college experience. So what was that like to just kind of get back up to speed?
Yeah, obviously it was pretty hard getting back and throwing the ball. I felt pretty good throwing the ball when I got back. I was just obviously pretty out of shape. After like a 20-minute workout, I would be pretty tired. My arm would be sore the next day or things like that. And so that took a little bit to get back into shape and get back in the groove of things. But it was definitely worth it. And now I feel like I'm at 100% and can play the sport that I love again.
You have an interesting background in sports. You were a really good volleyball player, I understand as well. How has that helped you as a quarterback? A lot of times you hear about football, baseball, football, basketball, football, volleyball, not as much, at least for quarterbacks. So where do you think that has helped you in terms of what you're able to do on the field?
I just think playing other sports in general is really good for you with your footwork and different timing and things like that. So in high school, I did play volleyball and basketball and football. And so I just think each sport kind of helped me in the next sport that I was going to play, whether that was speed training for basketball or same with volleyball with footwork and being more explosive and things like that. So overall, I just think it helps you be more athletic and a better athlete. So when on those plays where maybe I have to leave the pocket or make a guy miss or something like that, I feel like those sports kind of help me in that aspect.
David Shaw has been the head coach there for a long time. He's obviously really well respected. What are the things that when you were around him day to day that you really come to appreciate with him?
Coach Shaw is really down to earth. He understands that his job is so much more than just being a football coach. After practice, there's so many times where he gives us life lessons that are sometimes so much more important than just football. So I really appreciate that about him, how he kind of takes things into perspective and realizes that his job, he has such a big influence over the team, and he's really trying to develop us as men, as future husbands and fathers and things like that. So I really appreciate that about him.
There's obviously great tradition, especially at the position you play at Stanford. I'm curious, what is the best thing about being a Stanford student athlete to you?
Wow. I've never thought about that actually. I mean, Stanford is just a great university overall. Obviously, it gives a tremendous balance of athletics and academics. The Stanford network is obviously incredible. The people that I've been able to meet, just being an athlete or being a quarterback or anything like that, has been tremendous. And so I really appreciate the opportunity that just the Stanford brand has given me to reach out and meet all these new people that are starting businesses, that own businesses, that are just done really big things in the community.
For you, as somebody who probably grew up, you're in this hotbed of quarterbacks in Southern California. The biggest area you feel like you've grown from the time when you were a younger quarterback to where you are at now?
I think for me, one of the biggest changes, especially from high school to college, I think defenses really try to disguise things really well, and post snap movement is really big. I feel like kind of in high school, you can take a picture pre-snap and you pretty much know where everyone's going to end up. And in college, there's just so many different ways that they can do that. And I know in the NFL, it's going to even have more of an emphasis on that. But I think just seeing post-snap rotation and seeing my progression and making reads in that way, I feel like me.
How hard is it to budget your time when you're at a place that's so rigorous and demanding academically? And obviously you're at a position that there's only so many hours in the day you can prepare.
Yeah, I think it's just a big commitment. Everybody on the team knows that you have to, there's a lot on our plate and we're going to have to balance it all. And so I know that in season, I'm not going to have a lot of free time to go hang out with my friends or watch movies or things like that. Yeah, maybe there are some times where you can sneak in a little time, but it's all part of the sacrifice that's worth it to be able to play football and get good grades and get a great degree from this university.
All right, quick question for you. If I ask you who is the most interesting player on your team, who would you say and why?
The most interesting player. Is there any?
Could be anybody on the roster, walk-on, scholarship, offense, defense, you pick.
Most interesting player. Okay. I would probably say Isaiah Sanders.
Why?
So Isaiah was our grad transfer from the Air Force Academy. One of my best friends on the team. He's an awesome guy. We talk a lot about how it's kind of interesting because I feel like there's a lot of things that are pretty similar with my mission and his experience at the academy, and what he's going to do afterwards. We've talked about plans and what we're going to do after football, and he's not sure what he's going to do. Maybe he'll pursue a music career or start a business or things like that. Or maybe he'll just go in the Air Force and continue this path. And so he has so many doors open to him, and I think his experience is pretty interesting.
And the other question I got for you, if there was one teammate who you would most be comfortable with going on a trip to a foreign place, maybe a dangerous place, who would that guy be?
A dangerous place? So the first guy that comes to mind, honestly, is Spencer Jorgensen. He actually served a mission in Thailand. So I was kind of thinking maybe he has a little more experience in like a foreign place that he doesn't know, that maybe he can help me out, like understand kind of what bugs and what snakes and things are dangerous and things like that. So I'd probably say Spencer Jorgensen.
That's a good answer. All right. Well, Tanner, wish you best of luck the rest of the season and certainly this weekend against Vandy. It's great to get to know you and hear more about your story.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.